Okay, I'm here with Dr. Steve Larson, an incredible golfer, but an even better doctor from Desert Pain Specialists. I'm Ben Lindquist. This is the Built Local podcast. You made it, buddy. We've had 15 of these things now, and we've been trying to track you down. We finally got you, and I can't wait to sit down for a few minutes and ask you some questions.
I'm one of the lucky few. Grateful to be here. And the great golfer comment, I'm not quite sure how that got in there. But,
come on. Humble as well. You can see the humility.
The 2 times I golf a year, it's unbelievable.
Right. Yeah,
unbelievable.
Right. I love that. Okay, so let's dive into it. You guys have been a sponsor for the last couple of years for the 4th of July celebration. Thank you.
No, we're grateful.
I think, as we look at the people that partner with us, I think one of the interesting things is that we always find some commonality. And one of those is really people that care about the community, and the other is patriotism. Tell me a little bit, because I know you've been kind of, again, a humble guy about this kind of stuff, but you've actually served in the military. Mm-hmm. And I know, for guys like you, it just means a little bit more. Maybe talk about that.
Well, yeah, I don't want to kind of go too far down that road, but yeah, very grateful to have served this country. I was about 10 years.
Just about 10 years. That's it. That's a long time, man.
Yeah. Honestly, I absolutely loved my time serving. Getting out was actually kind of a little bit difficult. I got out because I knew I wanted to go to medical school. And to be honest, it was difficult to prepare for medical school while I was being deployed all the time.
Yeah, I bet.
And so the decision was made. Yeah, I actually had the opportunity to be a physician in the military, but for the same reason, I joined the military to have a different experience. When it was time to go to medical school, I thought I'll have a different experience. So I left the military and went to medical school outside the military. But yeah, I had an amazing experience. I think one of the things I walked away from was realizing how many amazing men and women serve this country selflessly, and names you'd never know, people you'd never know, but just wake up every day with a desire to make the country a better place. And so I got to witness that. So I think I took that with me, and I know that transformation happened with me as well. Yeah,
it's cool because I never had the chance to serve. My uncle was a general. I've got a couple of cousins. He's like, I think there's 4 generations on my uncle's side. My grandpa, my uncle, his son, and his grandson.
Wow. Okay.
And there's just something, I love just getting around the table with those guys and just asking them questions. And again, the interesting thing, most of them are like you. It's almost like, I don't want it to be about me. And I think what that really says is the selflessness, thank you, that our servicemen and women have, where it really isn't about like, oh, hey, I'm doing this for the country. They wake up, like you said, and it's what they do. They love America. Mm-hmm. I think that's so cool. I think it's really cool. So I want to pry one more time on that. I know you don't want to go too far down that road, but maybe what's your favorite part about the 4th of July? Mm-hmm. You've got a different perspective, having served in the military. When that flag goes up the pole, or when national anthem is sung, those types of things. I gotta believe it means more to guys like you, just who've served for that long and done so many great things. But what's your favorite part about the 4th of July?
Yeah, that's a difficult question, or it's something that maybe I haven't been asked before. The thought that came to me while you were talking was that I grew up with parents in a community that valued the country, but I didn't understand what that really meant.
Oh, got it.
And I think...
Where did you grow up?
Taylorsville,
Utah.
Yeah. I always tell people the west side of Salt Lake, where all the rich homes are and stuff. Valley Junior High, if anyone knows where that is. Amazing.
T-ville, Granger out there too.
Yeah,
that's
honestly, cool. Like looking back at my childhood, like I loved the area, and if you go there now, you might be like,
why did he say he loved that area?
But it was it was a great childhood, great people, and I'm sure there still are great people. I just haven't been there in a while. But honestly, those are formidable years. But I grew up in a community that I think just valued what this country stood for, but I didn't really know what that meant for me personally. I didn't really have a true insight, and so I think my decision to serve was honestly like one that came from my spirit, in the sense that I wanted to serve and understand the country, but I didn't really know what that meant. So I kind of signed up with a little bit of naivete or some ignorance, not understanding what I was doing. I just knew that I had to do it. I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And
like a calling almost.
yeah, I just felt like no matter what it was I was going to do in life, I first had to do that. And I didn't really know, parents, friends asked me all the time, why are you joining? It's like, I don't know. I'll tell you. I'll tell you when I get out there why I did it. But yeah, there's no way I would go back and not make the decision to serve. It was great things don't come without costs or sacrifice, and there were definitely a lot of discomforts associated with serving, but I would definitely do it all over again. And I always tell people, so many people ask me about, when they're thinking about joining the military. I have conversations with people all the time, or people say, hey, my son's interested, or my daughter, my cousin, do you want mind talking to him? And my number one job, honestly, is to talk people out of it, because I feel like if they really want to serve the country, then I can't talk them out of it.
Ooh, I like that.
And so I try to, because a lot of times people join for benefits, and I'm like, if you join for benefits, you'll be miserable. You will be so
wrong
miserable.
reason to do it.
But if you want to serve this country and you want to dig in and find out who you're made of and what this country's made of, and even though you're just a small piece in the cog, like small cog in the wheel, you'll be so grateful. And then the benefits that they do offer, you'll actually appreciate more. But if you join for the benefits, you just not
wrong reason.
Yeah. So you asked, what's my favorite part of the 4th of July? And interestingly, it has nothing to do with fireworks or anything. Maybe a hot dog or something like that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
but hanging out. Obviously family.
Yeah.
But I think deeper than that, and I think the older I get, the more I realize how important having a purpose in life is in order to be happy. Like, people who seek happiness are never happy, but people who have a purpose, direction, motivation, goals, they find happiness along the way, incidentally. So for me, the 4th of July, my favorite part is definitely the storytelling and the solidifying of the miraculous founding of this country. It's just it's an incredible thing. Some of the greatest historians have tried to put their thumb on it. McCullough's 1776 and a few others. They try to understand how something so amazing could happen by ordinary men who were imperfect but came together and did something awesome.
Yeah, I love that. What's so funny is this has come up a couple of times in the podcast where we always frame things with today's vision and understanding. And I think about this a lot when I think about back then in the Founding Fathers, that people were like, oh, well, what's the big deal? They were in a situation they didn't like with England and a king that was, taxation without representation and tyranny and all those things. And yeah, of course, I'm like, hey, guys, let's go make our own country. And I go, well, it's not quite what it was like back then. I mean, even simple things like currency. We've got another podcast that we film here. And it's really interesting. They talk about coins and they relate it to history. And I've just heard some really cool things from a historical standpoint. But one of the cool things is I didn't even think from a monetary standpoint. Think about funding a military or funding equipment and arms and things like that. There was currency. The currency that they were used to was English currency. Mm-hmm. And so you can't really pay your guy. I mean, there's so many things that go into, that's just the financial side. Then you go into just leaving your family. Some of your neighbors and friends, suddenly maybe you're at battle with them. There's just so many things that go into that. And then having those gentlemen and the people behind them go, no matter what happens, we're gonna find a way to create this. And it wasn't, like you said, they were not perfect men. I think we think historically it's like, well, they should have known this and they should have done that. And I go, that's easy with 250 years of experience at your tail, but it's not easy when you're living the way that you're living. You're in a new land for a short period of time and trying to figure out how to start a country that never existed. The foundation hasn't existed ever. And I don't know if it's ever been sustained like it has, or maybe it ever will. The other interesting thing is, and I thought about this, and this relates because you're probably, I don't know, a guy looks like he's 30, but we probably won't see the 300th year or 300th celebration of our nation. And I think about how important it is, to have conversations like this so that the generations after us go, hey, look, this is something that you need to protect, because in 50 years, if we don't appreciate it, if we don't have people like you that are willing to serve and patriots out there that go, this still is the greatest country on earth, 50 years, it might not seem like a long time, but you and I may very well not be here. And we're a couple of young, handsome, good-looking guys. I'm kidding.
Well, you make a great point. I mean, but that's the power of stories, and their real stories are powerful, and the young generation needs to know them. You see it all the time. I mean, I've spent a fair amount of time in Korea, and look at the younger generation versus the older generation. The older generation who kind of lived in poverty and kind of lived in daily fear of having kind of the North attack, and then they appreciated the liberation and the help in the Korean War. But the younger generation, so far from that, they lose their appreciation, and you see that in America too. And with the World War II veterans starting to completely die off, I think there are maybe a few still living, but there aren't that many. And
well, the last Pearl Harbor survivor, I think, passed away last year.
Yeah, the power of story is powerful, and I think we need to remind our children. And I think, gratefully, we have a lot of amazing books. We have a lot of things that can point us to the reality. But it's unfortunate when people can come in and brainwash the younger generations to apologize for this nation.
Yeah, because it really is.
And we're a nation that has a lot of flaws, but we're the greatest nation in the history of the world.
Yeah.
And if we don't humbly assume responsibility to carry that forward, then we'll no longer be the greatest. So we have to.
Yeah, I like
we got
that.
to carry the torch.
It's funny, not funny, but it's introspectively funny. Again, I've asked that question to 15 of the leaders of our community, really, CEOs, bank presidents, hospital presidents, university presidents. And I love what you said about, I like the opportunity. It's an opportunity for storytelling. And what I hear from that is, it's important that we're sharing that story with younger generations and keeping it alive. And it's a huge part, honestly, of why we're doing this today. It's a huge part of why we do the 4th of July. We had a meeting today with our kind of our 4th of July roundtable group, just trying to go through the preparations. And there's some things that I'm really excited about this year, just from a patriotic standpoint. A flyover. The flag is my favorite part when it comes down out of the East Grandstand. It's one of the largest flags in America, and it'll be here in St. George. And there's just a bunch of these other things that I go, the chance to unify people for one day, and hopefully with this America 250 celebration happening this year, get people to think beyond one day, and get to think, how do I incorporate that into my life more consistently? And so that's been really fun for me, and it's really interesting to talk to people about it and get their perspective and get these commonalities where you're like, oh yeah, that is what makes us great. And like you said, the more you talk about it, the more you share it and tell those stories, the more it sinks in, I think, to our being and our core, and so important we do that with our kids. Well, awesome perspectives. I mentioned you guys being a sponsor for the last couple of years. Thank you genuinely for that. Why is community so important to Desert Pain? A lot of people, and again, a lot of people give that lip service. Oh, we're just community oriented. What I see from you guys is a little bit different from the caliber of doctors and the way that you feel about the country and the community. But what's maybe something that's ingrained in there that you focus on that people might not know? Yeah,
that's a great question. I think to preface that, Desert Pain's super grateful to be a sponsor, and actually we're grateful for Kanye and me to have that relationship, that you would give us that opportunity. And if we had our name associated with any event probably throughout the year, it'd probably be we'd want to be the 4th of July.
Yeah,
that's a great thing. Well, Desert Pain specialists, I think it starts with the people who make up the company, the clinic. So my colleagues. So my colleague or my partner who started Desert Pain, he had a great love for this country. Dr. Empey, his dad served.
Oh, cool.
And so I think he had a father who was very public service oriented, very much a part of the community. And then each partner, Dr. Wells, has a great love for the country. Dr. Workman, he's up in Cedar City. We won't hold that against him, but he's a very he has a lot of faith in this country as well. He believes that this country wasn't an accident either. We all kind of, and then Dr. Clements and I, so they've all kind of been in families that have appreciated this country.
Yeah,
and then we have some physician assistants and nurse practitioners. They're all, honestly, I mean, I could go through each one of them and talk about the great people that they are. And so when you talk about a company, a company's only as good as its people. And so each person so I guess if someone said, well, what do you want to know about Desert Pain? I would say if you kind of blow past everything else and just kind of get down to the core, you're just dealing with people who wake up every day and are trying to do the best they can. They love the community. They love this country. And they have, most of them have faith in a higher power. So when they wake up, they want to do better, and that motivates them to treat their fellow beings better. And so we love the community, and we want. So if you go in some cities or in some towns in this country, they're so big or they're so kind of maybe sterile feeling that the companies that operate within the community, they operate with almost a sense of no accountability.
Yeah.
So Desert Pain, we feel a strong sense of accountability. We know that if we don't do a patient right, that patient isn't going to come to us tomorrow. We're staying. We want people to, it's like the Music Man. We're not a traveling, salesman, and we can
into the next town.
We can swindle you and move on to the next town. We actually we're here, and we're here to stay.
We want you to come back.
And all of our employees live here. We want to be a part of the community. We want there to be integrity in our relationship.
Yeah.
We want you to feel comfortable coming to our clinic. So that's the thing I think people should know about Desert Pain is that we want to be sound, we want to be whole, we want to be complete with the community. We don't want there to be any sort of hypocrisy. We want you to come in and be treated like family, and come back the next day and be treated like family.
Yeah, I think especially with something like pain management and the backs and the hips and those things, that I remember the first time that I heard somebody, I think it was Sammy Sosa. I heard, the Major League Baseball player, when he coughed, it's like, Sammy Sosa's out.
Did you have to qualify who Sammy Sosa was?
Well, you never know. You never know. We might have some people. I hope
everyone out there knows who Sammy Sosa is.
I mean, hey, the younger generations, But I remember, because I was watching his chase for the home run battle with Mark McGwire and guys like that. And I remember I saw this news thing. It was like, oh, yeah, he's out for a week with back spasm. And I went, what? And it was like, he coughed. And I went, okay, so he just didn't want to play for a couple days. And so I always someone would say to me, oh, my back's out. And I'd be like, what do you mean your back's out? It doesn't, where is it out to? Come on. And then I hurt my back for the first time, and I literally had to have someone pick me up off the ground. Mm-hmm. And I think about how helpless you feel when you're in that level of pain. And I didn't need surgery. I just needed my back to go, okay, relax. And it took a couple weeks, but I remember that helplessness and that feeling of, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this. Yeah. And so I think what's so cool is I hear you talk about people, and I think just how important that really is to have someone that it's not a number. It's not just hey, let's just, bill some insurance and get this guy taken care of for a couple of days. It's like, no, you want to make sure that this person, it's best case scenario if you don't see them again, but for the right reasons. Mm-hmm. And that being that you take such good care of them, that you help them solve the problem. And I just think, every time I've been in there and every time I've interacted with the doctors and you in particular, I get what you're saying about that human side and the people side. And so I can echo and support exactly what you said, that is visible. So good job there.
One challenge in modern medicine is to somehow create a connection with patients, but also realize that the insurance companies sometimes make it. I think if there's a party in the relationship that sometimes throws it off, like the insurance company, because, as a physician, I'm like, I don't have any idea what the interface between you and the billing and the insurance company is. And to me, as a human being, money is important. And so I can empathize with patients who are sometimes frustrated with that. And so I always...
Yeah, because you want someone to get the same level of care no matter what their insurance or anything else is.
Exactly. And I want them to know that whatever the insurance or billing is saying, if you have a negative experience in that regards, come in and talk to us, because I have no idea what the insurance or the billers just sent you, right? Yeah. You come in here, we want to take good care of you. So hopefully the relationship's authentic enough they feel like they can come back, and if there's any concerns. But I will say that part of medicine is all physicians, their least favorite part is insurance companies, just because they dictate a lot of what happens to how many visits and timing and everything like that. So, but we try our best to say, let's not worry about that. Let's just take care of the issue.
Healthy. Yeah, that's cool.
But pain's challenging.
Yeah.
But you said something. It's just like anything in life. Unless you go through it, it's hard for you to experience. And there was a wise man that, to paraphrase, you just said basically that sickness makes angels out of men. We all have. As people get older, sometimes maybe the reason why we get a little bit more kind or a little bit more soft is we've experienced enough to know that, people, there is some suffering out there, and we should be mindful of it. It's going on all around us.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that too, because it really is true. And I find that the older I get, you either soften up and find a little more humility, or you become more rigid in your, the get off my lawn guy. And it's important. You said something that made me go, it is just so true about, not just our nation's formation, but in general. You talked about the military, where, you knew it would be hard, but you probably had no idea it was going to be as hard as it was. And yet the difficulty is what makes us appreciate anything. And not that I would wish difficulty on any nation or state or family, but I find myself as a parent sometimes where I'm just trying to remove obstacles almost too much for my kids, and forgetting what you said, which is the struggle is what creates appreciation, where you can go, okay, that was worth it. And you talk about meaning a lot. You mentioned happiness. And I just think it's so interesting how all of those things, happiness doesn't have value. Meaning doesn't have any direction if there's not one, people, but two, some kind of challenge to overcome or service to be provided. I find that so interesting. So thank you, man, for you've given me a lot to think about. And I think maybe I've had more fun than anybody that's been able to come and sit and talk to me, just because I get to talk to such a wide variety of people. And these are people in the community that they're true patriots. They're people that are serving not just in their companies, but also in some other way. And they really value the country. So thank you for being one of those guys and being a leader in the community.
No, I appreciate you. Yeah.
And thank you to Desert Pain Specialists. You guys are incredible, and we're grateful to have you again. And I'm excited for this year's show. I think that people are going to be, I think it's going to be an incredible night weather, but I think overall it's going to be a really cool patriotic tribute to our country. So
hopefully everyone gets to the celebration.
Yeah.
There better not be an empty seat there.
No, yes. Come to the 4th of July. Thank you, Dr. Steve Larson, Desert Pain Specialist, right here on the Built Local podcast. I'm Ben Lindquist, and thanks again, Steve.
No, thank you.